Let's go. Ask me anything, number 14. I'm Coach Prez. I'm a football coach. And when I'm not a football coach, I'm a philosopher or a thinker, you could say. Or at least this is what I call myself. Anyway, in this podcast, I usually start by talking about a football topic where I break some problem down or I explain a certain concept, and then we move on to absolutely anything else, whatever the questions are, whatever I feel like talking. And most of the times we end up talking about philosophy and just fun stuff like that. So if you're not interested in football or whatever, you can skip. I'm advanced now, as I say in every episode. I feel like now I have the timestamps with what I'm talking about in the description, content, whatever. So go and check them out. And if you don't want to listen, whatever you don't want to listen about, just go ahead and skip ahead. Okay, and let's get started. Firstly, I don't really want to talk about football today, to be completely honest. Let's address the elephant in the room. What happened to my hair? Well, my hair had to go. My hair had to go. It's I've said it before. You know, the way you look, it affects everything else. So as I was getting ready for a particular thing, I had to make sure I looked the part. Okay. So basically, I was 2 weeks away. It's 2 weeks away now. In 2 weeks, I was supposed to have a fight, an MMA fight, for which I've been training for about 8 weeks now. So 8 weeks, I've been in camp. I've been training every day, pretty much 6 days a week, and then again on the 7th, no days off. I've been working really hard. And 2 days ago, when I shaved my hair, obviously I'm getting ready. I'm getting more and more intense as the fight is approaching. I went, boom, shaved my hair, went to train. Towards the middle of the session, it was some wrestling position. I went to turn to sit out. Basically, the other guy had me in a body lock. This, for those that don't know, obviously, body lock is when the other person has got their hands around your body. Okay, so the other guy is on my back. He's hugging me like this. He's got his hands around my body. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to turn into him. Okay, as I'm sitting out from a turtle. Anyway, the details don't matter that much. But anyway, as I'm sitting out, turning into him, I just felt I heard a pop. As I'm turning, I just heard pop. We went onto the ground. I waited for another 5 to 10 seconds. Wait, stop. So what happened is my rib, from all the pressure and all the momentum as I was turning, my rib popped in. So my rib from this, it went like that. It went inside, which wasn't very pleasant. I couldn't really breathe properly. So I stood up. I was like, shit, what the hell? I stood up. I took a couple of minutes. Obviously, I was very calm. Because you have to be calm, whatever happens, as we've discussed previously. Calmness is essential. I was like, okay, I'll fix it. I'll pop it out somehow. So using that, I exhaled. And then on a deep inhale, boom, it was I heard the pop, pop, and it popped back out. So I was like, yes, let's go. I just started talking. I was happy. I was like, yes, let's go. I'm back in the game. Look at that, the healing ability. I'm like Wolverine. I'm recovering as we speak from, it doesn't matter what, I'm unbreakable. Da, da, da. So I'm like, okay, let me jump back in sparring because we brought in some, we've brought in other people for the training camp for me to be able to spar like good people that can give me good work, preparing properly for whatever's coming. I jump back in sparring, minute and a half in, I get swept. So I just get my legs kicked as I'm off balance, as I fall on the ground, just from the impact. Pop, my rib went back in. And that was basically it. I had to stop. My rib was in, I couldn't pop it out. I couldn't breathe, couldn't really sleep. Then that night also. And yeah, when I woke up the next morning, I had this unpleasant realization that I'm done. I can't fight. I can't fight. My rib is finished. It's messed up. I can I could barely breathe normally. I couldn't really inhale because obviously you could feel it every time you inhale. Your lungs are touching the ribs, and it's just awkward. Half my breaths were like short, or it was just. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Since then, obviously, immediately we jump into the 5 stages of grief, just trying to process what has happened. I'm out of the fight. I'm not fighting, and I never thought I would be the one to. I would be someone to pull out, and especially I was doing well in the sparring. I was feeling good. I was sharp, sharp. I was getting there mentally. 8 weeks of hard work, and it's just one movement, pop, and I'm done. I'm done. And it's not just obviously, it's that surrounding area now is damaged, the muscles and tendons, they're damaged. The rib has shifted, moved in so much that it's impossible not to get any damage to the muscles of that area. So what happened is I'm done, and all these 8 weeks of just training every day, training every day, every day, every day. And I was like, I'm not even gonna fight. So that sacrifice that I had to make, because it's when you have a fight, it's all consuming. You can't really think about many other things. At the back of your head, that's like, oh shit, I have a fight. And even if you're not, even though you're not thinking about it constantly, it's still at the back of your head, at the back of your head, at the back of your head. I'm fighting, I'm fighting. You can't really take time off. Because if you take time off, let's say I take, let me take a couple of days off, da, da, da. Then my imagination is going to start doing tricks to me. My imagination is going to be telling me, you're taking time off. What are you doing now? Nothing. The other guy, he's training probably. Why are you not training? So all that voices, they are very loud. They don't let you sleep well. So you don't have you need to train. Can you imagine every day you wake up and I have to train. But the difference is when you're preparing for a fight. And obviously whoever is listening, and you don't need to be fighting, you're preparing for something. Yeah, just let's say it's for something to do with sport that is still bothering me sometimes when I talk. My breathing is disrupted occasionally still. still fresh wound. You're preparing for something, and it's a different type of preparation, you know. Obviously you're training. I'm always consistent with training and with everything I do. Just consistency. That's my thing. You have to be consistent. Whatever you do, consistency is essentially what's gonna separate you from all other people. See, there you go, the podcast. I'm consistent. Might not be the best, but we're moving. We're moving. Consistency. You know, every week, da 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 da. I'll do it. Every week, every week, every week. How many weeks in a row now? 14. We're getting there. That's now months. Same with training, consistency. Da, da, da. Oh, I don't want to do it now. Da, da, da. I go and do it. 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 That's just normal. So you use some willpower. Just to consistency requires a little bit of willpower. I don't want to go today, but I have to go. So you go. But you've used the willpower that you had left. Let's say every day, let's say you have like 50 willpower points and you have to use a certain amount just to get there. Well, when you're in training camp, now all of a sudden is different. All of a sudden is different because it's not just about getting there. You need to go there and you need to be thriving. You need to be doing better than everyone else because you're preparing for a fight. You're supposed to be sharp. You're supposed to be killing it, basically. You're supposed to be doing well. Because if you're not doing well in training, then and you're expected to fight, that's not gonna end well for you, is it? So it's completely different. It's not just about getting there anymore. It's about getting there and doing well. So you need to go there and you need to be sharp. You need to be on it. You can't really just go there and just kind of go through the motions, throw a couple of punches, do the combo, get the water. You need to be there, switched on, locked in, thinking, doing better, trying to squeeze in one rep in here and one extra rep here, there, or wherever. Doing well in every round, trying to do well in every round, not just kind of trying to survive. Because sometimes, you're just there, let's say it's not your day. That's obviously just in a normal scenario when you're not preparing for a fight and you're just you can just go and kind of survive, kind of coast, do a little bit, defend, blah, blah, blah. But not in training camp. In training camp, you need to be like, I'm on it. I'm on it now. I'm pushing the pace. I'm forcing the action. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm being proactive. I need to get more work. I need to get more done than this guy. If this guy is not preparing for a fight and he's outworking me, that doesn't sit well with you. Because the whole thing is so much mental. The mental battle is a big part of it, probably the biggest part. And so, this, and then boom, one wrong turn, and boom, I'm out. It could be described as soul crushing. It's just, it's what you've been thinking about every day, basically, and it just, you don't even get to go, and even if it's gonna be a loss or what, you don't even get the opportunity to go and lose. Go and kind of go out on your shield, to put it that way. It's just boom, you're done. Very anti-climactic. And it's like all the sacrifice. you could say is wasted. But the good thing is, at least for me personally, I don't feel like I've wasted anything. There is no, I don't regret all the hard work that I put into it. I'm actually really happy. I'm really happy. Oh, I'm frustrated. I was embarrassed. I'm still embarrassed. I had to, I have to pull out of the fight more than anything. The feeling, if if we could say that I have feelings, if there was a feeling describing this situation, I would say it's more of a, I feel embarrassed. I feel disappoint. I feel like a disappointment because I had to go and tell my coaches, I can't, I just can't. I can barely move. I cannot fight. Even if I can get moving to some degree in these 2 weeks, I'm not gonna have. I'm gonna be very soft, like, and it's not like it's an arm or a leg. It's the body. Your body is softened up. That area is just it can just, even let's say magically pop back out. It can just pop back in at any moment, and then when it's popped in, I'm just gonna have to kind of throw in the towel mid-fight, and it's gonna look horrible. It's gonna be even worse, and just going in compromised so badly. What was the point? It makes no sense. It's disrespectful to all the work that I've put in. All the work that I've put in just to go in and not be able to perform to the level that my preparation deserved. And tough spot, tough spot. But my original thought was, there is no regret. No regret. Not even 1%. All that hard work, hard work is always good. Eventually always pays off. If I think, however I want to think about it, the progress that I've made in these 8 weeks, in the last 8 weeks that I've known I have a fight and I'm preparing for a fight, the progress I've made is probably equivalent to the progress that I would have made in, let's say, at best, at best, 2 or 3 times the amount of time. So in 8 weeks, I've progressed probably as much as I would have progressed in 4, 6 months, 8 months in just a normal situation. Because you're pushing hard, and you're switched on. You're thinking about it. So if we can put it on, let's say, my journey as a martial artist, or whatever you want to call it, let's say my trajectory was this. Just a normal trajectory. Good, consistent progress. But this fight camp did this. It changed the trajectory because I was working so hard. I was putting so much into it. So much. I've put so much time, effort, money, everything. So there is no regret, because at the end of the day, it's all about progress. It's all about getting better, improving. Everything I do is about improving. And then, obviously, the understandable question is, you're a football coach, what the hell are you doing? Well, as I said, I'm a philosopher as well. So, what is the rationale? Well, as a coach, I believe to be a really good coach and for your words to be very meaningful and for you to be taken seriously, Not that this is the only way, but this is just my personal philosophy. When you ask people, when you ask your players or whatever to do something, when you're asking them to be a certain way, I can't ask from my players to do things that I'm not willing to do myself. I can't ask them to work hard, to push themselves, to find more, to do this if I'm not doing it. Because this makes me Mickey. Who am I? I'm just some pretender. I'm no one. I'm Mickey Mouse. Why am I asking people to? I'm just you know. Why the double standard? I don't like double standard. I think last week I talked about double standard. Get rid of this. You need to be fair. You need to be fair. You need to have the same. You need to apply the same. Um, what's the word? Oh, too many punches to the head. Yeah, now I'm getting slow. Oh, You need to have the same criteria. Okay, the way you judge yourself, that's the way that you judge others. You can't judge others harshly and then yourself, yeah, you give yourself a pass. Oh, it's not my I've done my bit. No, no, no. You're asking these guys to do their thing. You do yours. So that's my philosophy. So if I'm asking people to get better, to improve, to work hard, to do this, to do that, it was only fair for me to put myself out of my comfort zone and go and start doing something that is gonna do the same to me. Okay, so that for me, when I thought about it, was something difficult. I'm like, okay, let me go and start doing some martial arts, combat sports. I like more martial arts. But then when you say martial arts, people can start thinking about Aikido and all that, all that shit. So anyway, so once I'm doing that, now I know. Even for myself, I'm not doing it kind of to show everyone else. Oh, look at me! I'm doing this and I'm doing that. No, no, just for myself. I know that when I ask people to do things, when I tell my players do this, do that, I know what I'm talking about because I live it. Everything I say, I do, and I live and I back it up. I don't talk about things that I've done before or that or in principle. No, no, I need to go and I need to do it. I need to do it. I need to push myself. So otherwise, I cannot really ask people to push themselves. Some coaches, they would ask so much out of the player, but then what are you doing, mate? You're just talking. You just shout, oh, you're not running the. What are you doing? You're standing on the side shouting. You think I don't believe it's like the work that coaches do is not equivalent to the work that players do. I think it's a bit harder to be a player. Obviously, there is pressure on the coach, and I'm not one to defend players or to defend silly behavior, but it's just the players need to put their bodies on the line. Okay, this is different. This is just different. The coach, as hard as the job is, you need to be smart. You need to be thinking about this, about that. Still comfortable. You're always comfortable. You never need to push it. You don't need to push yourself physically anymore. Okay, you're thinking. Okay, you prepare the sessions, do the schedule, do this, do that. Like, okay, you're putting in the work, but I feel like that's easy anyway. I've always found like jobs that are not physically, they're a bit easy, or you could say boring. Or you need to reach. You need to face some discomfort in some sense, and there is nothing like physical discomfort. Nothing can beat physical discomfort. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm doing it. I need to keep pushing myself and progressing who I am, testing my all my theories and all my knowledge, putting it to the test. Because I know all these things. Oh, how to deal with pressure, how to do this, how to do that. Look, I'm talking I'm talking about all those things. I have like a podcast and I'm talking. And I don't like people that just talk. So you need to go and do stuff. So I wouldn't really have this podcast if that's all I'm doing. Because that's how would I have a podcast? Like, what is the role of having a I don't even have any. I don't have guests yet. But I'll try and get some maybe in the future. But you just sat down and you're just talking. I don't like that. To be fair, out of my whole week, this is the most I talk, and then for the rest, I'm like kind of head down, thinking or learning or thinking or learning. So now, for about an hour, I'm just like, okay, time to talk. Say this, say that. Sometimes I need to force myself, or I force myself. But yeah, still processing the devastation. It's like, have you seen in the movies where that one guy that is ready to make the sacrifice play or whatever, and that sacrifice has been taken away from him? Someone else does it. And that was all that he wanted to do. Why? It was supposed to be me. Da 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 da. That's all they wanted, and now they can't do it. Like the Spartans, they all want to die in battle. That's the greatest glory for them, as we discussed maybe 2 weeks ago. To die fighting for what you believe in, that's the greatest glory for a Spartan. To die in battle is beautiful for them. Nothing beats that. And we've discussed out of all different ways to die in battle, or more metaphorically speaking, to die defending your beliefs and what you love and da 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 and value is it's much better than dying from cancer and or any other illness or whatever. Just die weak and kind of people remember you sick, ill, weak, in pain. What's better if you could pick? Of course, you're gonna pick die in battle. Or normal people should pick that. If you don't pick die in battle, there's something seriously wrong with you. What's wrong with you? Anyway, let's answer some questions. Let's get the phone. Oh yeah. Oh. Come on, mate. I haven't deleted the ones that I answered last week. Okay, what's the highest form of intelligence? Okay, that's a good one. All right, so, I always talk about thinking, thinking, intellect, da 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 da. The highest form of intelligence is actually, let's call it intuition. Let me just check the definition for intuition, just so I know that I'm not using the wrong word, because I feel like intuition is good enough word. Intuition, by intuition, what I personally mean, let me just tell you this, and then we'll see what it actually means. By intuition, I mean you don't need to think about what you're doing, okay? You don't really need, you already kind of know. That can only happen, you develop this feeling from just knowledge and knowledge and knowledge on top of knowledge on top of knowledge, and just repetition on top of repetition on top of repetition. Lao Tzu, the great Chinese thinker, probably one of the greatest philosophers of all time. He was the first recognized philosopher that actually left some writings after him. He's almost not a real character. Almost. He lived like 600 years uh, BC. So this he was a tiny bit earlier than Socrates and all the ancient Greeks. Okay, he was the teacher of Confucius. Okay, people may know Confucius. Confucius is more famous, but Lao Tzu, he's the OG of Eastern philosophy. So he only wrote one book, one tiny little book. It's like that big. It's called Tao Te Ching. It means um, Tao Te Ching. What was the translation? Book of the Way. What's happening to me? I think I've taken too many punches to the head. That's ridiculous. You know how many times I've talked about this book, and I've never had to think twice about what the title meant. Tao Te Ching. Come on. Meaning. Anyway, it's a book of the way. So, what one of the things he wrote, he wrote very little. You know, Chinese philosophers, they're not big on words. They like to use, like, they're very vague. You need to interpret. You need to try and understand. It's very similar to like the movies. He's the closest thing to a philosopher from the movies as you can imagine. Let me just find. Of course, I have it. Boom, Lao Tzu, Tao Te Ching. See how little that book is. Look, a tiny book. So he said, what was the exact line? It's basically acting without thinking. Now I need to go into another. It's annoying. I need to find it. Okay. All right. Let's read something. Let's find something where he's talking about the sage. The sage. He always says the sage this, the sage that. A little bit of a drop in pace. Anyway, have a coffee. Well, I'm looking for it. Come on. Sage say this is what I meant by returning. That's gonna be difficult, to be honest. I'm still looking. I'm still looking. That's one of my favorite verses. He, so it's verse 34, 24. He who tiptoes cannot stand. He who strides cannot walk. He who shows himself is not conspicuous. He who considers himself right is not illustrious. He who brags will have no merit. He who boasts will not endure. From the point of the way, these are excessive food and useless exercises. As there are things that detest them, he who has the way does not abide in them. Why did I spend 2 minutes to read this? And now, if I try to go into explanation about what I just read, I'm gonna need like an hour. I need to give you like a little bit of a background. This style is just shockingly difficult. We need to read it 5 or 10 more times just to start breaking it down sentence by sentence. We need to sit down and kind of think about this, think about this, think about this. Obviously, I'm giving you, this is stuff, this is out of the blue. But he says, essentially, his teachings are very much similar to, he's talking about the way. His teachings are kind of Zen in nature. What he said, to get back to the question, because I really got off track, what a surprise. The highest form of intelligence is like intuition. Is you act and you do something without thinking. You don't think, there is no thinking, just action. You just go, you know, because you've done that thing so many times, so many times, so many times that you don't need to think about it. It's automatic. Okay, you can just feel it. You just know what to do. You don't think about it, you know. Okay, but to get to that point of expertise, because what people get wrong when they talk, oh, it's just intuition or this and that, they use it wrong. They think that, oh, intuition, well, your intuition is often lying to you. I'm talking about like Messi's intuition when he plays football. He doesn't need to like know everything because he's just so knowledgeable and he's internalized the game so much that he can feel the game. He can feel what's up. He can feel the space around him. Okay. He knows where the ball is gonna go, and in advance. He doesn't need to go, okay, so this guy, he's got a tendency to pass to his right, and then this guy is most likely, out of the three options that he's got, is most likely to play there. So from there, when player C gets the ball, he is most likely, because player Y from the other team is gonna go across, cut that space. He doesn't need to break the game like that. He's just moving. He kind of knows where the ball is gonna end. Okay, so he kind of gets there. So the highest form is just intuition. You're just like, okay, let's go. You don't need to stop and think, okay, what do the books say about this? Let me think. But again, you can only do that after you've spent thousands of hours doing the certain thing that you're doing. You need to be the highest top level expert to be able to rely on your intuition. For everyone else, intuition, what is intuition? It's just some, it comes like, it's like an internal feeling of what it's supposed. But no, intuition is very easily manipulated, I would say. There is a thing called anchoring. Okay, this is from Daniel Kahneman's book, Thinking Fast and Slow. So anchoring. So I can very easily manipulate what your intuition or what your senses or whatever are telling you by just giving you an anchor, maybe in the before I ask you a question. And what do you think? What do you feel? I can give you like an anchor. Let's say I ask you about anchor is where I kind of suggest an answer before I even ask the questions, before I ask the question. So I'm kind of setting you up. I'm pushing you in a certain direction. Okay, I'm anchoring you. So if I ask you, okay, what do you think? What do you think that this car is worth? But before that, the anchor that I've given you, I've been talking about 3,000, 5,000. So I've kind of made you start thinking that direction. I'm not really giving the perfect explanation, but anchoring, you need to. Let me give you a proper. So now what do we need to check? We need to check what intuition, the definition of intuition, and then anchoring. The ability to understand something instinctively without the need for conscious reasoning. Yeah, exactly. A lot of people severely overestimate their intuition and their ability to understand something instinctively. Why? Because you don't have what instincts do you have exactly? What experience do you have in this area to that make you trust your instincts? What's the experience? This is what my intuition is telling me. This is not the right thing. How is it not the right thing? What do you base that off of? Oh, I based it on intuition. Well, what is your intuition based on? On knowledge, on what you know. So if you don't know much, then your intuition is based on something that is very shaky. So why trust your intuition? That makes no sense. Honestly, makes no sense. It's just popular belief, common knowledge. But popular belief and common knowledge is often wrong. It's often wrong. It's just easy. People don't accept things that are right. People accept things that are easy to accept. Okay? You really need to try and understand that. That makes a massive difference. So many things are accepted. Why? Just because they're easy. You know, people that have brothers or sisters, right? You know, you can have, younger brothers or younger sisters. They sometimes they will copy the older ones. But what are they gonna copy exactly? First, they're gonna copy whatever is easiest for them to copy. When I was waking up at like 4 o'clock or half 3 or 4 or 5 to start working out and do this and do that, do you think my brother was copying it waking up? No, what he was copying was putting stories up, because it's easy to put up stories, but it's not easy to wake up that early. Does that make sense? So people do what's easy, not what is. It's easy for people to get on board with things that are easy, not difficult things. Much more difficult to do the latter. Again, excellent use of words there. Okay, so we know what intuition is, anchoring. Let me give you a better explanation, because I'm not happy. I should have been able to explain it first time off the top of my. Well, I haven't really thought about anchoring in a long time. Maybe I need to reread the book. But at the moment, I'm reading a book about the ribs. Shit, not about ribs. It's about affection. Maybe I'll tell you next time about it. Okay. Um, Anchoring. Another cognitive bias for you guys. Anchoring is a cognitive bias that occurs if someone presents information in a way that limits an audience range of thought slash reference. To suggest values or list options this way is to frame a desirable choice slash reply, as anchoring can distort users' needs, problems, and more. It can impair ideation for design teams. Okay, so anchoring, you see what I mean by anchoring? People can manipulate you very easily without you even realizing. Because that's just how the brain works. They're basically suggesting, they're pushing you in a certain direction, as I said. The only thing I got wrong is my example wasn't really the best. I couldn't really think of an example on the spot. Okay, yeah, the better example was, when you're about to go and buy something and they go, oh, this is 50% discount, this used to be 300, now it's 150. And you, oh shit, I'm getting such a nice deal, this is 300, I'm only paying 150, instead of just, this is 150, you need to pay 150 for it. But because they gave you this anchor of 300, now you're thinking about 300 and you're thinking that you're getting a deal. It's very simple. Obviously everyone, oh yeah, I knew that, yeah, but that's just an example. This happens with so many things that just go over your head that you don't even realize that you don't know. But now you're aware. Now you know what anchoring is. Anchoring is very important. It's very just all these big companies that have all these resources, they use so much of the cognitive biases that people have. It's crazy. They've came up with all that research. Who do you think is funding all these researches? They want to know everything about how your brain works. Why? Just so they can play right into every single bias that you have. Okay, so it's nice and easy for them to sell everything that they want to sell, to promote whatever they want to promote. Okay, to tell you the story that they want to tell you. And like, yep. And for you, it just feels natural. It feels like, oh yeah, that's the logical thing to do. Of course, because that's how it works. The whole point of the matrix, whatever it is for you not to realize what's happening to you. You don't even realize. They don't want to force you to do things. They want to make it seem as if just normal. Oh yeah, my intuition tells me this is the right thing. Yeah, well, ask your intuition to help you discover all these things. Okay? My intuition is telling me that something's off. What is off, mate? You're just making stuff up. Okay, intuition. But anyway, intuition is the highest form of intelligence at the same time. See, that's a difficult answer for me to give, intuition, because I'm not really a big fan of things like that. I'm a fan of things that can be described by numbers, digits, stuff like that. Tangible things. Intangible, not a big fan. Feelings, but I'm saying not a big fan. But then when you start talking about principles, about ideals and all that, and then all of a sudden, I'm the most. I'm sold. Yeah, tell me all about it. I want to listen. When we're talking about willpower, it's not quantifiable, it's not measurable, but I want to listen. I want to hear all about it. So it is what it is. Okay, next question. Oh, Yeah. Obviously, I still get that stabbing sensation every now and again. I've answered, I've answered, I've answered, I've answered, I've answered, answered. So what's left? As for, do we have the power to alter our minds and personality, or does the mind determine who we are? We need to patch up the question. Do we have the power to alter our minds and personality, or does the mind determine who we are? Okay, what do you mean by does the mind determine who we are? What does that mean? The mind. What do you mean by the mind? This would be my counter question before we can answer, because if we don't know what you mean by does our mind, so basically you're saying how I see this answer is, do you think that we can change, or are we what we are, and are we basically the product of our background and genetics, pretty much? Okay, that's one way to view that question. The other way would be, we need to get into a conversation about determinism, which is not going to be too much fun at the moment. Okay, so it's a mixture. It's a mixture. I personally believe, and I know for a fact, that everyone is able to change. Okay, but if you don't have everything starts with the belief. If you don't have the belief, if you if you yourself don't believe that you can change, and that you can change your personality, change this about yourself, change that about yourself, then you're not going to change. So it all starts with the belief. If you have the belief, that is ultimately going to decide the direction that you go in. If you have that belief, then it's possible. You don't have the belief, then it's not possible. Okay, that's one. I've always had the belief that I can change. If we think about it without being very offensive, most people that say, well, that's who I am, da 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 da, are girls. And they just, most of the time, they just say it to piss you off, to be fair. Well, that's who I am. If you don't like me the way I am, then find someone else, da da da. That's all bullshit. That's the epitome of weakness. Oh, well, I am who I am. Okay, so you can change, of course, but that's if you want to. If you don't want to change, then fine. Instead of saying I am who I am, say I don't want to change. Sounds different, doesn't it? Sounds a bit worse. Now I'm not talking about girls anymore. This is just about everyone. Oh, I am what I am. That's who I am. Well, okay, that just means, in other words, you're just saying I don't want to change. But that's different. Just say I don't want to change. Everyone is able to change. You can go. That's why we see people going from weighing 250 kilos to all of a sudden running marathons and being like 85 kilos fit and everything. It's because they had the belief, they wanted that change to happen, so they made it happen. It's the same. People only see it like you can change physically. No, you can change everything about yourself. Is subject to change, but it all depends on how bad you actually want it, and do you believe that you can do it. Because if you want it really badly, then you will develop the belief that you can. That's one side of the coin. The other side is, are we actually determined by do the mind determine what we are? Okay, that's what was in the question. I rephrased it to like our backgrounds and what we take from our parents and basically our upbringing. So what makes a human is a mixture of both. So you kind of a product. Obviously, you have your genetics, so you have certain predispositions. You know, your height, your the same way you're gonna have like a certain body fat level, like natural. Some people carry a bit more fat, some people carry a bit less, just naturally. You know, some people are quick, some people are not, just naturally. Some people are tall, some people are not, naturally. Genetics, okay? In that same way, you're gonna have certain predispositions towards personality traits, okay? Your mom and dad was a certain way, you're more likely to be a certain way. If they're very like explosive, short temper, whatever, you're likely to be that way as well, to a certain extent. But then there is another thing which is very important. Obviously, you have all these genes within your genetic code, let's say. All these traits are locked within your genetic code. And then as you grow up, all your experiences, your upbringing and all that is gonna unlock certain genes, are gonna be pushed and kind of unlocked, and are gonna, what's the word, show themselves. So yeah, basically certain genes are gonna be activated. Okay, so that what genes get activated, that kind of depends on what you do. Breathing is difficult still. So overall, when we add these two sides of the coin, one is genes, upbringing. Like as a child, did you get beat up, or did your parents shout at you? Were they very critical of you? Were they supportive? Okay, did they discipline you? Did they know? All this is gonna kind of shape you up as a person as you grow up. But then the older you get, the more knowledgeable you are, the smarter you are. You start to understand all those things and you start connecting the dots. Once you have all that knowledge, then you can kind of start adjusting the course if you want to. But obviously, if you want to have that mindset of I am who I am, this is what I am, da 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 da, like a little girl, for lack of a better word, although we can all think of a word like a little, but we're not going to say it. Then be that way, okay? You need to have the mindset, I can change. And you need to try and break down everything that happened to you, understand it, okay? Understand and always know that there is so much within you, just locked within your genes that have not been expressed yet. So much, so many of them, that you're full of potential, you just haven't unlocked it. You haven't pushed yourself hard enough or in a certain direction that is going to unlock this hidden gene. The gene has not been expressed yet. So keep looking, keep looking. There is always more of you. People, yeah, it's just scientifically wrong. It's wrong on all accounts to say, oh, well, I am what I am. Okay, mate. You know what it is? A stone. Because the stone cannot be anything more than a stone or anything less. The stone cannot change, cannot grow, cannot get any smaller or bigger, cannot move by itself, nothing. So if you want to be that, a stone even sounds good. I would like, I'm made of stone. A rock. Just be a pebble. You can be a pebble. is a rock and a stone. That these words they kind of sound cool. There's nothing cool about saying I am who I am. Work to change and to get better constantly. Okay, find more of yourself. Find more. That's my philosophy. That's what I've been saying for 14 episodes probably, and I'm gonna keep saying for the next 1400. There is always more. And me personally, I'm always pushing to find what's next, what's more. Because I don't do that, then I can't really ask anyone else to do that. And I think people need to. People need to. Because the fulfillment that you get from getting better, from overcoming yourself constantly, from pushing yourself, there is nothing like it. Money, everything else is just, you can't get that level of fulfillment. And just to finish it off, all that hard work that seemingly went to waste, 8 weeks. Even my mother came. Okay, she came to visit. So the people that don't know, I'm here. I'm in England. I'm in London. My mom, she lives in Bulgaria. She came over. She visited for a week. I didn't go and see her. I barely saw her for a week because I was training every day. Okay, every day I was training. I couldn't really spend time with her. So that was another like little sacrifice along the way, out of just everything else. But there is not even 1% of regret. All that hard work, it didn't go to waste. I pushed myself so much. I learned so much from it. I'm not gonna go into details. What did I learn? Just the process of me pushing myself so hard every day, using everything that I